Bonnie Ramsey has made an incredible impact on cystic fibrosis.
My parents always talk about how when they were first introduced to Bonnie, she openly told them that there's a chance they may live beyond my life expectancy.
Probably in those first 5 years, I lost more patients than I have in the subsequent, 2 to 3 decades. I mean, it was very different. And I said to myself, I can't keep doing this unless I feel somehow I'm making a difference. I cannot go into the rooms and say there's no more we can do. We have to find something.
She never lost focus of the patient being central to what she was doing.
At that time, there weren't inhaled antibiotics that were very effective. For Pseudomonas, you had to treat it with IV antibiotics. So they had to come in the hospital for 14 to 28 days.
In the late 80s and early 90s, physicians were coming to us and saying, here's some of our problems. And one of the problems is that there was data that was accumulating that aerosolized antibiotics worked better than the IV antibiotics. And so with Dr. Smith and Dr. Ramsey, we developed a clinical trial.
I had the privilege of working with Arnold Smith, who was the head of infectious diseases, and he asked me if I would help him in developing and conducting the trials. And he was really the mentor who taught me how to do clinical research. We were able to show that you could get extremely high doses of antibiotics directly into the lung, which were highly effective in killing the bacteria and improving the lung function. It was inhaled tobramycin.
And then we needed a company to be able to produce it on a mass market. And then we went to a company called Pathogenesis, and they completed the clinical trial. Bonnie got the publication out for New England Journal, and this has become the largest antibiotic that we see in CF today.
Dr. Bell, he came out to Seattle and said, I'm thinking of basically a moonshot program where we'll try to find small molecule drugs that can actually treat the underlying protein, the CFTR protein. It's going to be called the Therapeutics Development Network, and I want you to lead it.
She's one of those rare people that has done basic science, translational science, and clinical science. So she can really understand what the whole process is and has a great respect for each stage.
Bonnie was the perfect leader for a network. She was passionate about her patients, she was passionate for making a difference, and she was really smart.
He had the vision that partnership needed to be foundation, government, and industry.
To go from the lab to people, you needed an organization, and Bonnie led that organization. The organization setting up clinical trials, developing the Therapeutic Development Network, encouraging centers around the country to participate, elevating the standards of care in individual clinics. All of that was important to get to where we are today.
The laboratory science looks purely at what's the mechanism, what's the science. They're not looking at how will this be used, how will someone accept using it, and so you have to transition there.
All of that then drove the development of new drugs.
Well, the most exciting moment was when I saw that data for ivacaftor. I happened to be the PI of that study. I opened it up and it showed this dramatic drop in sweat chloride. No therapy had done that. That clearly showed that the chloride pump had been turned on. And this occurred in less than 24 hours. I mean, it was a boom. At the same time, the lung function went up. So clearly it was opening up the airways. And I remember thinking, is this real? I can't believe this is real.
We were either the first or the second center to deliver that medicine to a human being. And one of the people in my lab was a research nurse. And so she was taking care of these people. And they came in for their follow-up visit. She came around and asked me, what are we giving these people? She knew. from that N of 1.
The one that covers the most patients, which was Trikafta, came out in 2019.
I noticed an immediate difference when taking Trikafta. I haven't been hospitalized since I started Trikafta. I've completely stopped my inhaled breathing treatments. I've been able to decrease the amount of pancreatic enzymes I eat with each meal. I'm no longer insulin dependent, which has been a major life changer.
The neat thing is that we've changed the course of this disease. It's no longer a pediatric disease. Secondly, I think is remarkable is that lung transplantation, which is sort of end stage or was end stage, has gone from 300 or 400 operations per year down to a handful.
Our census for people with CF used to be maybe 10, 12 people in the hospital. Now, it's often 0.
If you had asked me in the 1980s if I had thought this would happen, I would have said absolutely not. There is no way.
Bonnie was not afraid. I like fearless people who will go after a problem because it's important.
She's very collaborative. She was always willing to sit down with physicians and so forth to help them work through problems, help them design clinical trials, and that was perfect for our community.
She knew that I wanted to be super active. She knew that I didn't really want to live my life around CF, so she really personalized what I needed in my treatments.
She's also been an amazing mentor. In CCTR, she developed internal grant mechanisms for early career people so that they could really get their feet off the ground and be able to apply for a federal grant.
I loved being a doctor and developing relationships with families. I like being part of teams. So we had a clinical team, we had a research team, and then I love mentoring. What was important to me is that I was able to raise my family and yet have a good career, and that's not a minor issue as a woman in a profession. None of this would have happened if I hadn't felt so supported.
She's changed the dynamic. When a parent hears that their child is born and has cystic fibrosis, it's not the same anymore. She's changed the whole game in cystic fibrosis.